So last night at about 20:41 hours, officers responded to the 1400 block of Center Street on the report of a person shot. Upon officers' arrival, they located a subject suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. The subject, unfortunately, was pronounced on scene. This is the city's 8th homicide of 2022. It appears that the suspect was on Center Street walking north to south with the firearm in his hand when he confronted the victim and shot him multiple times. At this time, we do not believe that the suspect and the victim knew one another. Following the shooting incident, at about 20:44 hours, the suspect continued south on Center, and a firefighter who was traveling, an Oakland firefighter who was traveling west on 14th Street from Mandela Parkway in a Ford Explorer city vehicle. He observed the subject walking with the firearm still in his hand, and he attempted to contact his dispatch, but observed a fellow firefighter taking out the garbage behind the fire station near the rear gate in the rear parking lot. He drove to pick up his fellow firefighter and removed him from danger when they both heard the suspect yelling at them. The suspect then, without provocation, fired 4 rounds at the firefighters, striking their vehicle 4 times. 3 of the rounds were lodged in the driver's side door, and 1 entered the rear passenger compartment and lodged itself in the rear of the driver's seat. The firefighters were able to flee the area in their vehicle, narrowly escaping harm. As officers were still in the area canvassing as a part of their preliminary investigation, at about 2200 hours, just over an hour after the initial shooting and murder, the suspect entered the local business where officers were canvassing for video. Patrol officers recognized the suspect from the video surveillance recovered on scene, and they detained and arrested the gentleman, who made spontaneous statements, tending to show that he was the individual responsible for the shooting incidents. The suspect was transported to the police department, and the case will be presented to Alameda County District Attorney's Office for charging on Monday. The victim in this incident has been identified as Mr. Ronald Sanders, born in 1983 and a resident of Oakland.
Okay, guys, if you have a question, please use the raise your hand feature as I asked. Keith, please go ahead. You first.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Shavies. I'm Keith Burbank with Bay City News. I was wondering if you can say how old Mr. Sanders was, and maybe do you have the spelling of his name, please?
Sanders, Sanders, and Ronald, common spelling. Birth date of December 8th, 1983.
Thank you.
Sir, just 39 years old. Or excuse me, 38 years old. My apologies.
Thank you, sir. Da?
Yeah, thank you. Just wondering if you guys can release any more information about the suspect. Does he appear to have mental issues? Any idea if he was homeless or not, or just any information you can release on the suspect, name and all that stuff, and any background information. Thank you.
Thank you. So we haven't found any prior contacts that will lead us to believe that the individual was suffering from any some sort of mental issue or had any history of mental illness within our city. The gentleman has been convicted for manslaughter, so for a killing from 1996, just around the corner in I believe it's the 1600 block of 15th Street, so less than 2 blocks from this incident. There are some reports from witnesses and community members in the area that reported hearing the gentleman walking down the street, yelling as he was in the middle of the street, saying that he was going to shoot someone.
Thank you. Zinni?
I'm unmuted. Thank you very much, Zinni. Abraham of Zinni 62 Media. Is there any video associated with this? And also, do you have any more background on, did anyone else make any calls saying that the man was threatening before this happened or acting out any kind of way? Thanks.
Not prior to the incident, but there has been video evidence that has been recovered that also informed the officers who identified the individual as he entered the store in the area, based on surveillance video that had been recovered shortly after the incident. So within, I think our patrol officers did, and the watch commander did an amazing job of disseminating video to area units so that they could be on the lookout essentially. And it turned out that the gentleman remained in the area and was taken into custody shortly thereafter.
Can you share that video with us?
We haven't presented the case to the district attorney's office just yet. We'll see. Not right now, sir. I apologize, Mr. Abraham.
Understood.
Ryan Curry.
Hi, good afternoon. I was hoping you could possibly clarify the confrontation with the members of the fire department. You said the suspect was yelling at them while they were trying to get one of the members to safety. Did the suspect target these members? Do they know they were members of the fire department? Can you kind of clarify some of those details?
So we don't know if the subject knew that they were members of the fire department, if they knew that they were city employees, if they believed they were police officers, and they were in a city vehicle that had not necessarily overhead lights, but some lights on it. But we just aren't sure why he targeted them. They did not confront him. They did not demand that he get on the ground and put down his weapon or anything. They were trying to get out of the area when they were attacked. So.
And thank you. And Di, you have another question?
Yes, thank you. You had mentioned that this person was heard yelling that I'm going to kill someone. I just wonder, regarding Mr. Ronald Sanders, the victim, was he just at the wrong place at the wrong time? I mean, and if so, I just wondering, what do you make of it, and how do you feel about that? Just someone going about his daily routine, and then this happened. I wonder if you can just elaborate more about I'm going to kill someone, and then that someone turns out to be, as you mentioned, they didn't know each other, Mr. Ronald Sanders.
Absolutely. So what we can surmise by speaking with Mr. Sanders' family is that that was, as you said, a part of his daily routine. He would often arrive in the area following work and consume alcoholic beverages as a form of a way to wind down, essentially. And so he was just in front of a family member's home, winding down after a day of work. This is a senseless act of violence that has been perpetrated in our community. And I think we, along with DVP and others, are trying to wrap our arms around those that are in our community so that we cease to have these violent encounters on the streets of Oakland.
All right, thank you. All right, anyone with any additional questions? Okay.
Say, Paul, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sorry, I don't even know how to raise my hand on Zoom. Do you have an age on the suspect?
Born in 1971.
Okay, thank you.
Just over 50 years old.
Zinni? You're muted, Zinni, can't hear you.
That I'll try again. I doubt you do, but I'll try this. Is there any information on the suspect and if he lost any benefits from government, was impacted by the pandemic, something that would set him off as opposed to this sort of, just happening?
I am not aware of that. The only thing is that he appears to be from the area, and again, was involved in the taking of another individual's life in a similar incident, just a few blocks from where this incident occurred. But I think maybe, Zinni, what you're getting at is what may have set him off, and I truly don't have an answer for that. I'm not sure how he had been impacted by the things that have occurred over the last couple of years, but then globally, really. So I just don't know.
And the other reason I ask is we have the Department of Violence Prevention, but it seems like still we don't have a connection between, why this stuff happens and
Right.
what we do to make it not happen. It's kind of like we just have the department, we're spending money, but we're not really getting any.
And not that I work for the Department of Violence Prevention, but to their credit, they were in the area and have been in the area trying to address other recent violent crime that has occurred in that area. And so I know for a fact, they had 4 or 5 violence interrupters in the area over the last 3 or 4 days. And so, again, this is an extremely tragic and unfortunate incident that we're all shaken by.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you.
All right, 2 last questions. Keith.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. I was wondering if you have any idea how the suspect got the gun. Any information on that, please? Thanks.
I don't. And I also, I guess maybe a follow-up question from someone would be whether or not it was a ghost gun. I don't know that either. And so I apologize.
All right. And guys, you got to remember, we're still in the early stages of the investigation, so very limited information can be released at this time. Anyway, Da, last question.
Sorry, it's a couple of parts. Someone did ask, I think it was Andy, who asked about if this is related to a killing that happened recently in that area. So you can answer that, but I also have additional questions. One is you mentioned about the manslaughter case quite a few years back. I wonder if the suspect, if you can answer this, if the suspect lives in that area or frequent that area. And then lastly, this kind of unprovoked, and you had mentioned there was no history of mental illness. How do you even prevent this kind of stuff from happening? So, so 3 things. Andy's question about if this is related to a previous killing or how it might be related, if the suspect lives in that area, and also how do you prevent something like this? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Da. We don't believe that this is related to any previous killings outside of the night, related to really any previous killings in the area. Your second question was, does the gentleman live in the area? We do believe that the subject has been known to frequent that area for quite some time, so over the course of his life. In the last question, how does one prevent an unprovoked attack? And I think that's an extremely difficult question to ask. And I think it's more of a societal issue around how do we provide resources for those in our community, be that mental, financial, or otherwise, in order to provide services and resources for those that need it, not only in our community, but in our country. So I know that isn't a great answer for you, Don. I apologize, but I don't truly have a real answer to that.
All right. Thank you so much, Lieutenant.